Your speed limits on the road might be 60 miles an hour, but if you've only got a car that can only go 35, you're never gonna get to 60. You haven't got to worry about it. That's the way it is with these wind turbines. You can't write something that, I'm trying to figure out.
You can't take your Kubota at 60.
No, I understand that.
That's kind of what we're talking about here.
Yeah, no, you make a good point, but in that, the wind turbine shouldn't be held to below ambient. But my question is, why would we allow them to be above ambient?
Well, how would you write something that doesn't happen? I mean, because I know what you're saying, okay? I'm getting my head wrapped around what you're saying, okay? But if the pre-design is, the setback of the turbine is such that, it can't emit more than 35 at your house, that means it can never emit 45. It's physically impossible for it to emit 45. So if it's 45 decibels, for whatever the reasons are, who knows, at your house, okay, you won't hear the wind turbine is the point. You can't hear it because it's being drowned out from the 45 decibel sound. You can't, 35 plus 45 is still 45. But 45 plus 35 is 45, but 35 plus 45 is another number, I don't know what it is.
I guess we don't need to spend much time talking about an ordinance that's going to change anyways.
Right, well, we're looking at it because Hessler is, I think, trying to guide us to a place where we're totally controlled by sound, that is the issue that bothers people, is the sound. And we want to focus on the sound. We spend a lot of time talking about these distances, but the sound is where we want to put our efforts. Because we don't want to do that.
But just like speed limits on a road, they set a speed limit on a road. That doesn't mean that, we could set the speed limit out here at 100. But nobody's ever going to do 100. That's that rare.
Couple people will.
Yeah. Because you set a limit, it's like a speed limit. That does not mean you're ever going to get there in certain situations.
Is that an argument for increasing the speed limit to 100?
I don't know how fast you want to get to work.
But at the same time, would you set, because let's say that most of the cars that are on the road can only do 45 miles an hour, okay? Would you set the speed limit at 45 because of that? Or would you say, well, the road's designed for 60, we set the speed limit at 60, even though we know nobody's ever going to go more than 45, because that's all the cars can go. Yeah.
But is 50 really an acceptable sound level at all? Or, that's really what he's getting down to, I think.
Well, I think that's what we have is some people that want absolutely none at all, but in that case, I'd suggest we also ban cars on roads in Clifton, and ban lawnmowers at people's houses, and...
I'm solely asking about whether 50 would be an acceptable constant for a future project.
He said 50 miles per hour.
We were talking about the decibel levels before.
No, we don't think 50 is a good idea.
Personally,
we're not using 50.
So that won't be in the bill then?
Say that again?
That won't be in the article, that 50 is an acceptable level then?
I don't think so. Unless it's like 50, 45 decibels at your house all the time.
Yeah, good enough then, for me anyway.
Well, again, Hess was recommending we take out that plus, and after reading his argument, I would agree with it, but we have to discuss that in the workshop.
Right, so maybe probably not, sounding like it probably won't be then. That's why we're going to have a discussion of this letter. So why don't you go back to the website real quickly, just really fast, try to buzz through some of the articles just so people can have a quick, or just put it this way, okay, actually I'll take a quick poll. Has anybody in here not gone to the website and looked at the articles at all? Okay. I know you guys have an issue down there with your internet.
Well, it's not just, my computer's been torn up and all that, but to be honest, just getting the clean election campaign and getting myself properly.
No, I understand. I know that you're busy with a lot of different activities right now. So maybe what we can do is go straight into hearing some public input, and then maybe we can go there at the end, because I think everybody has looked at them. We can get you a printout. I know you're having a hard time getting it, so maybe Debbie, you can work with her and get her something so that she can look it over.
Okay.
And again, anyone here that wants to actually go visit Bull Hill, I'll be glad to go over with you. We'll take the
You can go
meter
ahead.
over and we'll set it up at various distances. I used a
Well, actually, no, wait a
GPS to
second.
measure exact
I just
distance.
want to show them, because we,
You seem to be having a technical problem.
Is Bull Hill,
again, come on.
is Bull Hill Eastbrook?
It's the one you can see from the top of Chick Hill, and it's over here about,
Get out of Spec
Well,
Pond in
if
the
it's-
road.
If it's
Yeah.
Eastbrook, their setback is a mile from a sensitive receptor.
well, again, these distances, just setting a raw distance is turning out to be immaterial.
I mean, I happened to come across the other day, the email from you to me with Eastbrook's ordinance saying how you liked it, what a good job they did on it, and so I happened to look in, and they had a mile
Right,
setback.
but I've also learned a lot since then. That was like a year ago.
Oh, okay.
You know, some of us actually change our minds as we learn more.
Oh, okay.
But you didn't.
Irrelevant, I mean, you mentioned that you don't need to be that far.
That's the whole point.
Because actually, there is some public stuff on here that we need to go.
I have a question.
Go ahead. I'm trying to, go ahead, ask it. You guys can-
When is the final product that you want us to vote on gonna be ready for us to? I,
Be probably, well, I think it says on the schedule, May 15th, or May 17th, but I think I'm trying to shoot for May 10th.
and is there gonna be a hearing after that final product is done?
We're gonna have, as Carol had asked, probably 2 or 3 public information sessions about that document here throughout the month of May, and maybe even the first week of June before the actual vote.
But after the final product, after you guys
Yes,
are all done?
yes, it will all be done. There won't be any changes of it. This will just be a
And we'll be
literally,
able to see it in black and white?
right, this will be just for information session, yeah. I don't know what's going on with this thing. A little bit, or-
Play with it.
Give a copy of, oh shoot, no, it's up there on the, I gotta get it all.
Settings, you've got that picture of the 2 different windows. There were one-
I've got some stuff here that was submitted, and I just need to get to it. And well, yeah, I think it just came up. Just go.
That's the back.
It's background. Let's try this.
There you go.
Oh, you know what? I think it thinks it has 2 displays.
Somebody came in and took them out.
Wonders of modern technology.
All right, close that page.
Oh, sure, we want to.
Thanks, Dave.
Now my camera.
Upper right.
Rather than scrolling down, why don't you just click on each left?
Yeah, click on
left
those.
hand.
Well, you don't have to do this. I just want to get out of this page.
Oh, the problem is the screen's down.
Yeah.
That thing isn't on the screen. You're not guiding there? Okay,
I got it.
I'm gonna roll up, go left to public hearing, April 17th. Come down. Okay, just a couple things. This electronic document that I printed out, that's those comments there. This is the Beaver Ridge sound monitoring that Bill Rand sent to the town hall a couple days ago, or yesterday, or something like that. You don't have to get that out at the moment. But if someone wants to go and review that, that's the one that Hessler worked on. And then I guess we'll just click on This one, because Peter Becker's not here, those are his comments.
You wanna open?
Yes, please. There we go. So, around that corner. So it says, and we'll have to answer these questions probably next week. It says, I have a permit for an accessory residential unit, as you know. How are your proposed LUO amendments going to affect it? I want these turbines as far as possible from it and expect at least 4,000 feet as the LUO reads. I plan on renting it out this summer, but I deserve to know what to expect. Changing the rules after I've started construction seems pretty wrong, probably illegal. Next comment, please. Looks to me like you never incorporated the protection for hunting cabins, etc., back into the LUO after it got voted back in, June vote, I believe. Could be wrong, but check it. Number 3, this spike cabin talk is obviously aimed at my cabin. Are you tailoring an ordinance amendment to deal with my cabin, Peter Eckert? So those were the comments that I got yesterday from you. Look at my table at home. I'll make sure you got them tomorrow. The paper, I scanned it in so I could go online so we could do this tonight. But whether he would be here or not. So we can actually can that for a few minutes, and then if somebody wants to chat, they can come up and. I think Paula, you had mentioned you wanted to chat about something. Welcome aboard.
I was gonna go back and,
Oh, here's.
skip back to, the question that Jessica submitted at the first hearing about, the rationale for check.
Move her up front.
Hey, Paula, could you just come up front, please? Thanks.
The rationale behind, protecting undevelopable shoreline resource protection land and not protecting developable non-shoreline. As the ordinance reads now, I found your answer off point, that's why I'm bringing it up. As the ordinance reads now, wetlands and streams are protected locations. And you're proposing to take that away, which to me lessens the injustice of protecting streams and wetlands when you don't protect developable land that people have. But you say in your answer that you talk about wetlands needing protection, so it seemed contrary to, that reasoning seemed contrary to what you're doing. You're removing wetlands from protected locations, or calling them sensitive receptors now. You're removing wetlands by your change, right?
Yes, and I can address that. I wrote that originally, and it was pointed out to me afterwards when it was too late to change it, because I never meant to protect all wetlands. The intent at the beginning, and I know everybody else here agreed at the time, was to simply protect the shoreland
Right. And
around Great Ponds. So we're correcting what was basically a mistake made at that time.
What my question was, so now you're taking that out, which seems kind of reasonable to me, especially the wetlands. But I still don't understand if a shoreland is not developable, why should it have a lower sound level, sound limit placed on it than somebody's backyard, or the back part of their lot, or the front part, if you're only protecting around the sensitive receptors, only getting the lower limit? Why would you protect, why would you call, I was trying to think of some resource protection around the Great Pond, the farther end of Parks Pond. Why would you protect that more than somebody's house lot?
So you want to know, just so I can just phrase this question correctly, because you didn't write this down, did you?
It was written from the last hearing.
Right,
What's
well-
the rationale behind protecting undevelopable shoreline resource protection land and not protecting developable non-shoreline? So if you have a 5-acre lot that your house is on, around your house, 100 feet around your house has a lower sound limit, you get the benefit of the lower limit around your house, but the back or off to the sides or wherever isn't protected by that lower limit. But if you have a piece of shoreland or on a great pond, which isn't developable because it's been zoned resource protection, that shoreland is protected the same as your house, not your backland, but your house. I don't see the rationale behind that.
So why is protecting a wetland more protected from?
No.
Okay.
That's where your answer missed the point.
Well, Paula,
You're not-
you helped write this originally, Paula, and at the time when we discussed it, the thought was that all land directly around the pond is some of the most valuable land in the town. There's very little of it that is still resource protection, and much of that could end up being taken out of resource protection in the future. All of those potential house lots within that 250 feet are potentially worth probably 10 times what an acre of land is that's out in the middle of the woods. The thought at the time was we should protect that valuable land around the shorelines. Now, personally, I'd be glad to take that resource protection land out, but that was the thought at the time, and you were on the board when we wrote it.
Well, every time we propose that something is perhaps unjust because this is protected but this isn't, instead of adding the protection to the part that we're proposing that needs more protection, you go, oh, okay, so we'll take the protection off this other one, and instead of adding protection to the one we're asking you please to protect, you're saying, nah,
It's in the front of the screen.
we're not going to add protection where you're asking for. We're going to. You pointed out this one's got more protection, so we're going to take that away. That's all I got to say on that.
Could you ask the question in the opposite way? Why are special protections being suggested for homes? Isn't that natural? You should have peace and quiet in your home. You know, if she phrases it, why are the rest of your property, why is that being allowed a greater noise level or damage level, when you could look at it as the board providing for special protections around someone's home, where they live, where they sleep, where they make their meals? Doesn't that make sense to you? It's the glass half full or half empty argument. You can look at it one way or the other.
I just want to make sure I could hear what you said.
So, okay, you want to clarify the answer on why is protecting the natural resources more important than protecting?
Actually, it would be, why is protecting developable land less important to you than protecting undevelopable shoreland?
Okay, well, we'll try to reevaluate that question. I mean, I don't think that we understood exactly what was being asked last week when we saw it written down. So we'll try to look over the question again, and based on what you just told us, try to rethink that answer.
And so I'm not campaigning to take it away from the shoreland resource protection. I'm campaigning to add it to people's property.
Add what?
The protection of the lower sound limit.
What they want is 35 dBA at all property.
Property lines, yeah.
Townwide?
Fine, that's not gonna work out in our neck of the woods.
All right.
Paula, did you have something? I thought you were going to talk a little bit about Dave's stuff, or was that kind of tied up with what we talked about earlier?
Which stuff?
Dave stuff. Last night we talked briefly. You said you were gonna talk
Oh,
about
about Hester?
Dave's letter.
Hester's?
Yeah, I mean, do you have any comments before we start to meet next week to talk about, you know, whether we should go up or down or around? Do you have anything else to say about Dave's stuff?
Actually, I mean, I was kind of pleased with a lot of things he said. Especially when he said that you needed to make things more practical and to eliminate needless complexity. One of his earlier suggestions had been to make it simpler, adopt the state standards. And Bruce rather CYA, he said, no, I don't think we're going to do that. That would be political suicide to do that. But it seems to me that there are simpler ways to do this than 5 or 6 or 7 pages of protocol. And
I think one of the real problems with the state standards is even at the time, the state was having a hard time with wind projects. I think that was when the bad discussions of North Haven first arose, right in the middle of